ultimately, when when the reality set in that he was full of you know what, and I just had the most sinking feeling, holy crap, did I just get scammed?
Hey guys, it's George with REIClub, First and Worst, back with another one. Now today my guest is a guy who went from the NFL into real estate. And you might think that's crazy, but think about how many NFL or former, NBA players go on and end up being broke, okay? Quite a few, because it doesn't matter how much you make, it matters how much you take home. And this guy is just a shining example of going in there, learning about money, getting, paid a big professional salary, and then coming out of that and being like, holy heck, what do I do now? And this guy figured it out, and now not only has he figured it out, he's spreading it all over the country, and he's just doing it for free. I mean, honestly, it sounds like he's preaching the gospel of real estate all over the country, and I just love it, because it's just, it's what I'm all about, just giving you guys as much as I can. He's got this tour he's going on, no upsells, he's not selling any course or anything like that. And it's just really cool. He's just really giving back to the community, and he says, you know what? I know that all of this goodwill I'm building up is just going to snowball and compound into something great. So with that, I want to introduce you guys to Dean Rogers out of California.
What's up? What's up?
How you doing, Dean?
I'm good, man. No, I'm excited for today and ready to preach the gospel, like you said.
It's awesome, man. So take us back, man. What were you doing? You made it to the NFL. What was that life like?
It was insane, man. Yeah, so I started my career in the NFL. It was always a childhood dream, something I dreamt of, but did I think it was a reality? It was really hard to know, especially because the fact I was under-recruited in high school, wasn't really getting the love. I was a big, tall running back, not the fastest, playing running back in high school because I wanted the ball in my hands as much as possible, and loved it. Broke a bunch of records and first team, all that kind of stuff, and I loved it. And I got not the attention I thought I was going to get, man. I growing up on the West Coast, I was wanting to get love from USC and UCLA and all the Pac-10 schools at the time when there was the Pac-10, but just wasn't getting the love. And I had Fresno State and Nevada Reno and La Tech and a lot of the WAC is what the league was at the time, showing interest, but still no scholarships. And I was like, what the heck? So anyways, got a partial scholarship to go to UC Davis. Of course, I earned a full-time scholarship there. But it was a good platform. It was a good stepping stone. They had a history of quarterbacks and tight ends going to the NFL. And so I went as a tight end, and to fast forward to the NFL, I ended up getting the call from the Chargers. There was a handful of teams leading up to the draft and was talking about 12 different teams. But ultimately, the Chargers gave me the call, went to the Chargers. And, dude, instantly overnight, your life changes. Like, instantly. It's not a slow roll. It's one night you're, sleeping at your parents' house, playing video games, training all day. And then the next night, like, you're in the locker room, you're in the general manager's office signing a 3-year contract. You're shaking hands with Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates and Vincent Jackson, and now like you're buddies. You're getting butt naked in the locker room with these guys, like you're best friends. You know what I mean? Like everything changes overnight, and you're playing on the big stage. You got stadiums with 80,000 people. You've got red carpet events everywhere you're going. You got fans screaming at you, wanting autographs. You got supermodels walking around trying to hang out with you. Like it could not be more night and day compared to what I was living before. And it was amazing, man. Like my story is, I show up and I go through all the let's call it onboarding. You get your medical test, you sign your contract. You get into the locker room, you get all your gear in the equipment room, and they don't skip a beat, man. Day one, they're like, all right, cool. Here's all your stuff. Here's your playbook. Practice starts tomorrow. Be in the meeting room, 7 a.m. sharp. Like we're rocking and rolling. And so that's what it was, man. Just got all my stuff. And I was smart enough to keep my phone off the first day when it was all in the news and everything like that. But of course, I turned my phone on the next evening, and my phone was like melting, man. It was like vibrating for an hour with all the notifications and like all the congrats and people wanting tickets already. Like it was just like nuts, you know. But the cool thing was, man, like it's such a surreal experience. Again, you meet all these people you're just playing with on video games, and the next day, day one of practice, Norv Turner as the head coach, moves me from tight end to fullback. Okay, now I loved tight end very much. I played well at fullback. In fact, the very first day, like such a memorable moment for me. I remember being like, all right, well, I'm not going to be upset about this. Like, I'm just going to take advantage of my opportunity and go, 100%. And the very first play was a counter. I run around and screaming off the edges, Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, Bob Sanders. And he's known for lighting dudes up, right? And I just come flying, and I don't hold back not 1%, and I light him up. And Norv Turner's like, there you go, Rodgers, and like throws his clipboard. He's all screaming, all hyped up and excited. And that was like the very first play. My very, very first play was the very first moment I was like, hell yeah, dude, I can do this. And that's what I did. Every single play just went all out, pancaking dudes in practice, pancaking dudes in the game. And Norv Turner was telling me over and over, like, dude, you're going to have a long career. But the one thing that I couldn't get over was at fullback, those collisions are way more intense than at tight end. And, I've played football 10 years up to the NFL. I know what big hits are like. A lot of times I'm given the big hits, and I've gotten, people that have knocked me out too. But I felt good. And I had 2 concussions in college, minor ones. But I started feeling it in my head right away, dude. And it scared the living crap out of me. And it was all these other things that were happening at the same time. ESPN was talking about concussions. I would see the old vets around that were all beat up and busted up. And Junior Seau killed himself that year. And it quickly snowballed for me to realize if I keep doing this for a living, I'm going to be dead, early. And I had to start icing my head. Like, I'm used to getting into ice baths, ice in a shoulder, ice in my legs. I had to start icing my head after practice. The games were actually easier because in a game, you're not playing every single play at fullback, and not every single hit is, focused on, just blasting the dude. Most of them are, but not every play. Not every play you make contact. Whereas practice, it's like, let's try to beat each other up as much as possible. So practice was actually more intense. So, George, I was just in this moment in life where it was like, I got the dream in one hand. The dream. Everything I could possibly dream of right here in my hands. And, the future was bright, and all this opportunity. To the other hand is my health and like living a more healthy life and not dying early and all these things. Yeah. And I made the decision to go for health, man. I made that decision and walked away from it, didn't look back. And it was, arguably the hardest decision I ever made because, dude, what an insane experience. It was so much fun. It was really intense, but pretty incredible at the same time,
Yeah, so, you worked super hard to go from, not getting a lot of that love to, making it to college, getting the full ride, then, breaking into the NFL. But then, yeah, like you said, like the Junior Seau thing, that was super tragic, and kind of all that stuff was we're finally just getting out in the open and finally learning about it, right?
Yeah.
So how long were you in the NFL before you figured out, hey, I got to get out of here?
Yeah, it was 2011-12 that I played for the Chargers, and then just knew that like I can't keep doing this. And I had in my head the thoughts of, okay, so I could try to go back to tight end, whether it's with the Chargers or another team. I could go that whole route. I was already talking to other teams before. When I made the decision to walk away, other teams were calling me. But I just knew, even if I went back to tight end, I had already, just in that super short period of time, just from the collisions at fullback, I had already like unpackaged this damage to my brain that I knew, like, okay, what I just did right now is already going down a different path that if I keep doing it, even at a smaller scale, it's not going to be good. Like, it was that intense to the point where it's like, all right, I just got to move on, man. I just got to move on. So it was terrible. It was a really hard thing. But like I said, I really didn't reflect on it. I didn't sit there, have big long thoughts or conversations or wait for months to think about it. Like, I just moved on, and thankfully I had a good buddy from college that I stayed in touch with, and he was working for a software company, a tech company in San Francisco. And he's like, hey, I know you're done playing. I think I could, help you get walked in the door here. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, all the red tape you would normally have to get hired in corporate and the long interview process and all that stuff literally took me right to the hiring manager. One interview, one time. If you want the job, it's yours. So that was cool, of course. But to flash forward through that story, I went from a 7-figure contract to a $65,000 salary living in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is one of the most expensive areas, maybe second to New York. And as you can imagine, money dried up really fast living in the Bay Area for that next year, working my butt off. I mean, it was so easy to work in corporate, just slapping around a keyboard rather than, practicing and working out for 4 to 6 hours a day, and then studying film for another 2 to 3 hours, and going to bed at 10 o'clock and waking back up at 7. Like, it was so easy to do it. But I had my aha moment after a year. It was the big pay raise from $65,000 to $67,000, and my heart almost just fell out of my body. And I just felt like crushed because I was thinking, dude, these tech companies got a lot of money. They got to be paying me like some decent money, at least 6 figures, especially, in perspective where I came from. But no, I got a $2,000 increase. And I'm thinking to myself, this is going nowhere fast. I better take this into my own hands. So I got on Google and I thought to myself, what else do I like? And I remember, watching Love It or Listed in the living room with my parents and other like house flipping shows. And the one thing that stuck out to me was the Dean Graziosi late night infomercials at 2 a.m. when I'd get done playing video games as a teenager. I remember like a teenager seeing those. I'm like, dude, that could change my life, and almost buying, one of those programs. But I was like, all right, well, how to get started in real estate. And I found Sean Terry's Flip to Freedom podcast, and I was just so excited, dude. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This thing about wholesaling, little to no money. This has got to be it. So I took action on it. Exactly what he was saying, I did. I didn't like, ooh, that sounds cool. Let me think about it. I was just in that, maybe I was so young, I didn't have like any filter to like hold me back. Maybe I didn't have enough fear, which turned out to be good. But I just took action. I did exactly what he was saying to do in the free podcast and just listening to it, not even seeing this, and did my first deal in 3 months by just taking action. And that was the big proof of concept, the big breakthrough. And I was like, I can do this. This could really change my life. So course, the story goes on from there, and I'm going on my 10th year now since that Google search.
Hey, this is George. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us a comment or drop us a like. It really helps us out in getting this show out to more people to learn more about real estate. And I can do that without running a bunch of really annoying ads, which nobody wants to hear. Just me, right? You just want to hear my beautiful voice. So please drop us a comment, leave us a like. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. So did you work your butt off in corporate that first year? Or were you expecting just like, okay, now they're going to pay me the real salary?
Yeah, I was like, dude, okay, at least I'm going to get to like 100,000. Because I know other people that are just coming out of college that are getting good jobs at good pay. And so I was thinking, okay, that's fine. 65,000, not what I wanted, but let's see. I'm ready to put in the work and prove to them like I'm a hustler. I can bust my butt. Give me anything and I'll do it. But no, dude, they did not in that position at least. They were not ready to reward, and I was not ready to just lay down and take it and take that as my circumstance. So I took actions into my own hand.
Interesting. So what did your first deal look like? Was it a wholesale? Did you get it off the MLS? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I love telling this story because I feel very proud about it at this point because I was really resourceful. Again, I had very little to no money at that time after just burning through everything that I had up to that point. And I said, okay, I'm going to follow what he's saying. And one of the strategies he had was these online auctions. It was HUDHomestore.com. And these were FHA loans that were going into foreclosure. And the first 30 days, someone who wanted to buy that house and live in it could buy it. After 30 days, an investor could place a bid on the property and potentially win that bid. Okay, so Sean Terry was describing this strategy, and it was something he was spending considerable amount of time and getting deals from. So who am I to reinvent the wheel? I just followed what he said, And what made it even more funny was I looked in the San Francisco area. San Francisco intimidated me from a real estate market standpoint. Like these big houses, super expensive. And the reality was most of the expensive houses were just like nasty houses, So these really expensive, not nice houses, I thought to myself, this market's insane. I don't know anything about it. And I was looking for houses in where I grew up in Central California, and I wasn't really finding much. But he kept talking about his market, Phoenix, Arizona. And he was talking about he got a deal in this part of Phoenix and this part of Phoenix and this neighborhood of Phoenix. So I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to look in Phoenix. So I put in all the same search criteria he was and was looking at these houses and placing offers just the way he was describing he was placing offers and how he was figuring out what to offer. And what do you know? Got a house under contract and went through that whole process that you have to. And I was looking for buyers to wholesale it just the way he described to find buyers off of Craigslist. And I had a couple people look at it, but it just wasn't for them. So really quickly, I had, you have 30 days to close on it. And I was already 2 weeks into the deal. And I was like, holy smokes, like I'm about to run out of time here. I'm about to lose my $1,000 earnest money deposit. I was getting really nervous. I got smart. And I remembered Sean Terry talking about his company name and getting leads through his website. So I searched his website and I pretended like I was a seller. I filled it out, put the address, the condition of the property, hit submit, and then his team called me and was like, yo, what's the deal? Blah, blah, blah. I said, well, here's what's really going on. I was listening to Sean. I'm a wholesaler, this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, okay. Let me put you in contact with Sean. There might be a deal here. So Sean Terry calls me. He's driving in the car. I'm like super excited to get a call from Sean Terry. And he hears more about the property. He's like, yeah, man, I think we can get this sold. So he sends it out in like 24 to 48 hours. He lets me know he got it sold and he'll take care of the paperwork. So his team sent me over the paperwork to basically agree on doing a JV deal. And they took it to escrow, got the deal closed. It turned into a $12,000 profit. We split it 50-50. and I made $6,000.
Dang. And so you just found that on an auction site. How long, like,
Yeah.
that didn't take anything marketing wise, but how much time do you think you put into that deal?
Yeah, no, I probably put, a good solid 30 days at least, and at the time that feels like a lot of time. It's something new. You're drinking from a fire hose. You're doing something you've never done before. You're learning a lot of stuff, just basic terminology, like how do I figure out how to do comps? That was scary at the beginning. How do I figure out what the repair costs are? That was confusing. But I just took action. I didn't let that hold me back. I remember listening to like how to fill out the purchase contract podcast episode he had. It was like episode number 45 or something. I can't remember what it was, but I remember listening to that and waking up at 2 a.m. because I was like, this is really important. I got to listen to it again. And I was just like, couldn't go to sleep and listened to it again and took notes in my notebook. And, but that's what it took, right? It just took really almost obsessing over learning what I needed to do next to get a deal, actually figure out how to get a deal put together. And I was really proud of that. It felt like a lot of effort, it felt like a lot of time, but being in the business now for going on 10 years, I realized 3 months is pretty fast. Some people do it faster. I've had some of my coaching students do it faster. I've had, plenty of really successful people I know that have taken longer. But for me, that was a really big moment to believe, like, I can do this.
Dang. So, okay, you had at this point had invested nothing into any programs or anything. You were just listening to his podcast
Correct.
And following the game plan.
Yep, exactly.
That's crazy. 3 months, 90 days. Your coaching students get there faster because they have you to walk them there. When you're doing it on your own, that's incredibly fast.
Yeah. It was a lot of effort, but that's what it took, man.
So looking back, do you think what was the most important attribute that you had personally that got you over that finish line, that first one?
Without question, hands down. Besides the obvious like consistency and just going all out, taking massive action, those are almost like table stakes. Those are like you have to have those when you're getting started to really get the momentum. But for me, it was the resourcefulness. It was based on where I was at from a budget standpoint and figuring out a strategy that I could take action on that would allow me to get in front of a potential deal, right? I didn't have to talk to a seller at that point. And I was spending a lot of time figuring out how to talk to a seller, go through a seller script, ask the questions, negotiate, but I didn't have to exercise or practice that yet with that strategy. And it was getting resourceful, figuring out, hey, I'm taking action to try to find a buyer. Couldn't find a buyer. What's next? Do I just give up and say, oh, I failed. I stink at this. I couldn't get it figured out. Or what's next? What's the next thing I could do? And it was to go to his website and fill it out like I was a seller. That was huge. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have got that first deal done,
Absolutely. I think the same thing. You were super resourceful doing that. You kind of hacked the wholesaling strategy there.
Yeah.
So moving forward, did you do another deal with him, or what was your next deal? Did you just find that one on your own?
Yeah, I did a couple more deals just like that. And they were actually co-wholesaling with Sean Terry again, right? I worked that. And then I took action on the next thing. After that, I closed those next couple deals. It was like, okay, Sean Terry said, now I need to take 15% of my money I made and put it back into marketing. And direct mail was the big thing at the time, not overly competitive. Build a list of 1,000, 2,000, however many people with absentee owners. And so I went through that, went through ListSource, pulled down the list just like Sean Terry talked about. Like I would listen to the audio. He would say he clicked that button. I'm like, pause, go to the internet, click that button, unpause. Okay, what's the next step? Wait. It was too fast. Rewind. Okay, now I go here. It was that level of detail that he provided and I took action on. And then, it was a couple different mailers I had to send out. It wasn't mailer one. it was mailer 2 or 3 that I got the next deal in my hometown. So I ended up figuring out, okay, I'm going to start marketing where I grew up. It's, below the median price point type of prices for the nation. I understand the neighborhoods. I understand the areas. When I talk to, a seller wanting to sell, I can speak with confidence about the area at least. I can say where I went to high school. So and for some people, they might have grown up in like a big, massive city or some like really in Timbuktu area. But I like to tell people, I like to invest in my backyard, That's where I feel most confident and I know the area best. So that's what I did. And so I started doing a couple more deals there. And that turned into one of the guys I was wholesaling to. He was like, hey, you're really good at finding deals. You want to do flips together? I was like, yeah, that's the next thing I wanted to do. But I mean, I still don't have really enough resources to like buy a house cash or anything. I'd maybe made $60,000 to that point and already reinvested, a decent amount of back into the company and stuff. So like, I don't really have he's like, don't worry about that. Just bring the deals and I'll bring the rest together. And I was like, okay, cool. So naturally we went, now he was already experienced. I'll make this story short. He was already experienced. He jokes to this day at that moment, like anything he touched was gold, He just was having a ton of success. So he had the smart idea. He's like, hey, things are slowing down here in Central California a little bit. You were wholesaling, finding deals in Phoenix, Arizona, right? You want to flip out there? So the very fast story part of that is we buy 6 houses in the first month. We're going to start flipping like crazy. And we make money on the 4 of them, and not a lot, just a little bit, and then out of the 2, we lose $100,000 with all the rookie mistakes. Now, he wasn't a rookie. He kind of let me kind of run the show. But it was like the rookie out-of-town mistakes, trusting what the realtor said the comps were, trusting a referral to a contractor who actually ended up being like a total criminal with like the worst work. Like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong on those. And it was a massive, massive setback for me. And I had to crawl out of that hole really early on in my career. I mean, it hurt really bad. So that was tough.
You were in what, like a year at that point, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly,
man, it speaks to the power of like your resourcefulness and also finding the right partners, because you found the right partner in your backyard and you guys were doing great, right?
Yeah.
You found Sean Terry, you were flipping deals to him, that was going great, got you off the ground. But then as soon as you go to Phoenix and start flipping, these questionable partners kind of derailed you pretty good, huh?
Yeah, and they weren't even partners. I'd say just these relationships, like, those relationships are so important. And we did one of the biggest mistakes you can do, which is to just take someone else's word for it and not do your due diligence. And one of the biggest lessons of many that I have that I teach my students and I tell anybody I get the chance to is you just got to make the extra phone call. Sometimes that's all it takes is the extra phone call. That was my first big loss. My second big loss, if we have time to get into it, I'll tell you about all it would have taken on both my big losses that really set me back. Like I believe that I'd be exponentially further ahead than where I am right now if I didn't have both of those setbacks. But apparently I really needed to learn those lessons, specifically making the extra phone call, because in both cases, had I just made one extra phone call, I would have found out, oh, that guy? No. You don't want to work with that guy. That guy will rip you off, right? And man, if I would have made the extra phone call, it would have really helped me save a lot of money and heartbreak and pain and a lot of time wasted.
All right, Dean, let's get into that, because you kind of alluded to it. What was that? What was that train wreck of a deal?
Yeah, so the train wreck. A dark time in my career journey was, I'd just gotten out of the hole of that first loss. Now we're really working hard. We're cranking. We're flipping lots of houses. We're flipping 20 houses at a time. now one of the things that kind of set me up to not be in a good position for this next loss was while we were flipping a lot of houses, it was really capital intensive. And every time we would flip a house, have the money come back in, the next 1 or 2 flips we would take on and start working. So now more capital would go out the door, and it just felt like we were cash broke all the time. I know that was just like how I felt all day, every day. And there was always little money in the bank. I mean, we'd have, $30,000 in the bank, and we've got, interest payments coming up, and a project we're working on, and then we'd close a deal and we'd have, 50, 70,000 in the bank, and then we'd take on more projects, and it was like, oh man, this is really tight. Cash management's tough. In where we're at now, I mean, now we got $1 million in the bank, and we're not cash tight at all, and it's because we really pivoted our business to focus on cash management and using our resources to the best extent. But so I'm cash tight, and I got my firstborn son about to be born, and I'm thinking, man, I would love a great deal right now to really just set me up for my new son coming, to help me on cash. I'm gonna look at doing some flips in San Diego. So I'm living in San Diego. I'm doing my flips in Central California, and I've got a good community of people that I've built up, good network here in San Diego. And one guy in the group, in the circle of people, is doing a good amount of deals with other people. And he's, bragging all the time about making this money and that money. And dude, you got to come in, you got to work with me. And I'm like, I don't know, just kind of get some weird feelings. Well, he put a deal in front of me that was a new construction deal. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know anything about this. It's going to take too long. And he's assuring me, no. If you buy into this deal, we're going to literally break ground the next day. Like, shovels are in our hands. We're ready to move dirt the next day. Just buy into this deal. You'll make about $80,000 in about 5 or 6 months. Like, this project is so ready to go, you don't even get it. Like, this is ready. And I was in that mode where I needed to do that next deal. I needed to do it, right? I needed money. I needed that big win. And that's when you're in that mindset, you'll ignore really obvious things. And first and foremost, it was something new for me, completely new construction. I didn't know what was all included in that. All he kept telling me was the plans and permits were approved and ready to go. We were ready to start the project. And he would show me like an architectural drawing on the table at lunch. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I mean, it looks like a house, so I guess you have everything you need. I'll go ahead and do it. So I buy this piece of dirt, and I'm like, let's do this thing. So we close escrow. I own it. No, the trucks and the dirt isn't getting moved the next day. And I'm like, all right, it is Saturday, so maybe I guess we'll start Monday. And I'm really anxious and eager, right? Like, I'm putting a lot on the line at this time. And I just remember day after day, and then week, and then month of just this growing tension of I'm not getting clear answers. And it's starting to get kind of fishy. And ultimately, when the reality set in that he was full of what, and I just had the most sinking feeling, holy crap, did I just get scammed? Did I really get scammed? Like, all I do is try to do the right thing and be around good people. Like, there's no way I attracted a bad person like this into my life. I like to think the best in everybody. But believe it or not, I got scammed by this guy, and I started making phone calls when it really set in, like I should have from the beginning before I did the deal. I call the architect. Oh yeah, no, the architect plans aren't finished. I haven't even gotten paid for the work I've done so far. Holy crap. Let me call the civil engineer. Hey, do you guys have been working with the city? Do you have plans and permits approved? Not even close. We're so far away. We haven't got paid for anything. Yeah, everybody's really pissed over here. we need this paid for before we can do a single another piece of work. And these bills started adding up, 10, 20, 30, 40,000. The city needed to get paid for different things. They needed some cash bonds, which basically means like, hey, you need to give us cash just in case you don't finish some of this work. We can have something to hold on to. So it was like one thing after another. He had a hard money loan for the construction costs already drawn, like in place, attached to the property, and withdrew several $100,000 with fake receipts. I mean, you literally couldn't make up this horror story. It just unraveled, and he was just a criminal. And he had already gotten several $1 million of other people's money tied up in other deals. So he was basically insolvent, and his doors closed, and I had to go fix this mess. And I remember going to bed with my heart pounding and just feeling sick to my stomach. And I had to put on my big boy pants, and go figure this out at 27 years old and go, negotiate with people just short of like begging and pleading. I kept a little bit of my pride intact. I didn't get on my knees and beg, but damn near did, having to basically tell people like, hey, I'm in a bad spot and I don't have the money to fix it. Like, help me out here. Like, what can we do to get this project done? So after going through that for about a year, I didn't even move a piece of dirt. I do remember getting the code enforcement from the fire department because the weeds had grown too tall. I went out there one Saturday with a weed whacker, and I weed whacked the heck out of this freaking lot. And it was like chest high, and I was out there with a weed whacker I got from Home Depot, weed whacking the heck out of this thing. I didn't even have the proper safety glasses. I had my sunglasses on. I didn't even have the proper clothing. I'm like getting, all these weeds hitting my shins and stuff. But I was like, I'm powering through this. I got to get this thing done. And so all said and done, George, this piece of dirt didn't even move. I got the plans and permits approved in hand, and I ended up listing it to sell because I did the math. If I finish the project, I'm going to lose about the same amount of money. Who knows? Maybe more. If I sell this piece of dirt as is, I'm going to lose the money now. So I can be over with it. So I got it listed, ended up getting it sold, and by the skin of my teeth, and lost $187,000 net at the end of the day. And it was just agonizing. So painful.
Ouch. That hurts to hear. Even the weed whacking story, I think we've all been there. Weed whacking with our shirt off. Just taking it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So like you said, man, one extra phone call to the architect, to the civil engineer.
That's it.
Oh, man. I love that.
That one phone call and this, almost like rubbing dirt in the wound. I knew the hard money lender. They were in my phone. I didn't have to like dig for their number. I could have sent them a text even. It was so easy. But I didn't make it because I just needed that deal so bad. I wanted it to go through so bad. I ignored such obvious things. And what a big lesson that I had to learn, I guess.
Yeah, that's important. Well, thank you for sharing that lesson. $180,000. I mean, thank you for that. We don't have to do that now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. So, I mean, obviously you recovered from that, and you've been just crushing it ever since. What are you guys working on now that's got you excited? Kind of mentioned it at the top there. Hey, if you're enjoying this episode, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. It really helps our channel grow. If you guys don't like this episode, I don't know what's wrong with you. Leave me a comment and tell me what's wrong with you.
Yeah, so just to highlight, coming out of that, flipping a lot more houses, pivoting to we need to manage our cash well. We're really good at finding deals. We're not good at doing a ton of flips at a time. So we do 100 deals a year now for the past couple years. 80 to 90% of those will be wholesale deals. The rest are easy flips that we'll make really good margins on. And building our rental portfolio since 2018. And so we've got about $10 million in our rental portfolio. We've got, almost 600 deals that we've done at this point. And, we've become the authority. We've become the guys in Central California. and it hasn't come with a lot of hard work. But what's got me really excited is I'm at the point in my career where things are really good, and last year was a really big year, 2022, where leading up to that, I had really been heads down, coming out of the NFL. I had a lot of pride, a lot of, chips on my shoulders of like, I walked away from this dream. I'm not going to be a nobody, I was not going to fail, but I was starting from ground zero, and doing anything new takes time. So I had a lot that I had to work through, but I had my head down for a good 6 years, just in the trenches, heads down. I missed a huge opportunity to network with people and collaborate with others. Huge missed opportunity. If I go back to when I was just starting, network like crazy. These relationships are so important. So when the light bulb finally went off, these relationships are so important, was in end of 2019, beginning of 2020, I said, I'm going to start a meetup. Because I want to meet with people as regularly as possible. I want to shake hands with people. I want to give value to other people, share what we're doing that's working, and this is what's going to be a game changer. So February 2020, first meetup, about 100 people, crushed it. This is why we started this. This is amazing. This is going to be incredible. March 2020, got our next meetup scheduled, and the whole world shut down. And I was like, what? What are we going to do now? We still got our business, but this is going to derail our whole plans of, community and collaboration. So I got resourceful. I went to my phone and I started talking to the phone. Never really used social media to that point, and started telling people what we were doing, what was working, and how we could help them. And flash forward, that's evolved into people doing, 40% of our deals now are doing deals with other people. And it's all about the abundance mindset. It's all about collaboration. And it all comes from those relationships and adding a tremendous amount of value. I ended up sending money to people when we'd close a deal. And I'd say, I love sending friends money. And I ended up thinking, well, let's brand this. So I called it our Friends with Benefits program. And that's where, hey, right now we're in the friend zone, but hey, when we're making money together, this is Friends with Benefits. So we've got t-shirts, and we've got all that kind of fun stuff to go along with it. And so that really helped blow our business up and grow even more. And then what's evolved into that is there was other people with meetups, but we liked each other. We just weren't collaborating. So I got us together in December of 21 and said, let's start co-hosting together in 2022. So take you real quick through that. 2022, we had a handful of co-hosted events, hundreds of people coming to these events. It turned into November, a co-hosted event that was a big one, a one-day event on a Saturday in November, and we had Pace Morby, Jameel Damsry, Henry Washington come. We had 600 plus people come to this event, and everybody was on fire and just really having a good time. And we said, let's do this again. So where we're at today, 2022, I also started my coaching program, teaching people how to wholesale houses. And, I got, dozens of students, and them having success is crazy exciting, and fulfilling. So that's cool. And what's next that I'm most excited about is me and the other two guys from Central California, Stratton Brown and Jason Pritchard. We got together and we officially formalized our kind of joint efforts in our local meetup. But we thought, what if we can take this same excitement, this same energy and abundance mindset other places? What if we can get other communities excited about collaborating? Because when we tell people how we're doing deals with people in our community, how we throw free meetups in our community and people are doing deals with each other and coming together and sharing, people are like, that's crazy. Collaborating, I compete with people in my market. We throw elbows. And I'm thinking to myself, that's crazy. That doesn't sound very fun. you guys are missing a big opportunity. There's enough deals for everyone. So what we're doing is, as you said at the beginning, we're spreading the good word. We're spreading the gospel when it comes to real estate investing, which is collaboration. And we have a podcast called the Deal Champs Podcast, and we're going to go on the Deal Champs tour. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into other communities. Ideally, if someone's listening to this and they have a meetup with about 100 people that show up, not that are on the list, but actually show up to the meetup, we want to light those people on fire and get them excited about collaboration. And our mission is to come in and highlight you, the host, as the authority. We want to highlight you as the authority, as the person who has the most value to give, so that at the end of the day, these people are coming back to you looking for help. Because that's what we've become in our market. People are just coming to us and asking for help. And what does that look like? I mean, we had a truck driver come to one of our meetups recently. To make a long story short, he brought us a deal, didn't know how to put it together, had squatters in it. We had to do cash for keys. We handled the whole deal. It turned into a $110,000 profit deal. After $5,000 cash for keys, it was a net $105,000. We split it 50-50. We did all the work, but it's all about value. We're partners in this deal, 50-50. No matter who's doing how much work, we're partners. So that truck driver made $52,500 on that deal. That's life-changing money right there. And we want to show how you can help your community just like this. So we want to come in, highlight you as the authority, get your community fired up, talking about collaboration, and we don't charge anything for this. Nothing.
Wait, nothing?
We're not there to go, nothing. No, we're not. This isn't a $10,000 fee to have us come speak and get people excited to work with you and make you a bunch of money. No, we're just coming in to get people excited. We're not going to be at stage at the end saying, hey, by the way, I have a coaching program. Make sure you go sign up for it right now. Sign up for my masterclass. Sign up for my webinar. No. We were going to tell people to connect with us online, social media, because that's where the power, these relationships, right? We want alignment. We want these relationships with the hosts, with other heavy hitters in your market. And we actually want to get those kind of people on our podcast too. And once you realize that the relationships are where it's at, you'd be amazed how doors just start flying open. And so that's what we're looking for. Now, if anyone's listening to this and wants to be a sponsor, like if you've got some sort of great product or you've got a lending company or something, we would love to have you as a sponsor and highlight you while we're on tour doing this. And we're looking to do this all over the country. Like ideally it's in some of these major markets, like a Texas or, a Colorado or a Florida, something like that. Something that makes it easy for us to get there. But yes, that is what we're looking to do. And we know, because we've seen it in our own market with collaboration and abundance mindset, that if we bring this to other places, that it's going to help bless you and your community. And we're all going to win as a result. Like, who knows, but the universe will provide. And that's what we're excited about right now.
Yeah, that's just a crazy thing you guys are doing, Dean. You're not charging a dime. You're not, pitching your products or anything. You're literally going out there and preaching the good word of real estate investing, man. I love it.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're in one of these big groups, 100+ people, drop me a message, shoot me an email. You guys can find me on the website, and I'll get you connected with Dean. Dean, man, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thanks for sharing your mistakes, your wins. Super, super impactful, man.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you having me on. And remember, guys, we can all win together. Collaboration, abundance. When you go all in on it, I'm telling you right now, like the universe will provide. So we look forward to connecting with you guys and staying in touch for sure.
Awesome. And you guys can go to REIClub.com/Dean Rogers. There'll be links to his social. You guys should follow him there. I follow him all over. And, man, he's always hyping up his students and everybody around him. And it's just cool to watch, man. So Go there, reiclub.com/Dean Rogers, and we'll hook you up with that. We'll give you guys links to his event when those come to your town. You guys are going to check those out as well. It's always good to get in person nowadays, now that COVID's over, and shake some hands, meet some people, and, get off the internet and get back into real life. Super cool, man. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. First and Worst. This is George Uno with REI Club. See you guys. Hey, thanks so much for listening to my mom's favorite podcast. And by the way, if you want to join us on REI Club to get access to free calculators, forums, directories, and a bunch of other resources that you're going to need to succeed in real estate, head to reiclub.com/pod and create your free account today. Thanks so much. I'll see you on there.